quickly go to or begin the session with introducing our elite panelist. So first of all, I would like to introduce Dr. Karishma Mehta, right? And if I have to speak about her, Dr. Karishma is a practicing gynecologist, and she has been practicing since more than a decade. The best part about her is that, she is actively involved in creating awareness about menstrual health and hygiene of women. And what she strongly believes, and I kind of more than 100% agrees to her belief, is that none other than a woman can understand a woman better. So I welcome you, Dr. Karishma. We move over to our next panelist. She is Ranjana Tripathi ji. If I have to speak about her, there are a lot of commonalities between my life journey and Ranjana ji's, and I was really overwhelmed going through her bio. So a few points that I could jot down is that she is a life purpose, spiritual and transformational coach, certified by International Coach Federation USA, that's ICF USA. She uses neuro linguistic as well as healing tools in her coaching sessions and training sessions. Her passion and mission for life is that, every person should realize the divinity within and start their growth journey as soon as possible, right? Gujarati ma kahiye pramane jagya tyarthi savar. So that's what she believes into. Then in 2020, while the COVID time, she impacted more than 10,000 individuals online and helped them stay emotionally stable, physically fit, and mentally active. Another thing, if I have to talk about her, is that she left her career, a very, very elite post of Head CRM, to pursue her passion. And she has authored many books, but out of which one of the book that I came across was, Life Unplugged, Connect to the Divinity Within. That has been farly accepted and appreciated by the readers. Training, mentoring, and coaching sessions to individuals, group, and organization is that what she does day in and day out. And the best part is that she has her forte into the transformation of people, organization, and groups as a whole. So we welcome you, Ranjana ji, to this session. Quickly, I'll be moving on to our next guest or next panelist, Nirali Dagli ji. So Nirali ji ke baare mein main batana chahta hu that she is a passionate educationalist and educational leader. Not only that, she is currently working as a principal at a very renowned CBSE school in Ahmedabad. She is proficient excellence and innovative educational thought leader, and that's where she continuously pursues and excel in the field of. Then 20 years in the field of education, project management, and she also has worked as a principal in many eminent institutes or educational institutes. Last but not the least, National Educational President of WIIC is one of the tag that she wears very proudly. So we welcome Nirali ji to this conversation, and our last but not the least guest of honor, Dr. Tanisha Keshwani. So Tanisha ji ke baare mein main ye kehna chahta hu that she is a co-founder of Keshwani Dental Clinic and Polyclinic, which is situated near ISKCON Amli Road in Ahmedabad. From being an academic achiever in Manipal University, to she also has published quite a few of her views, as well as information about digital dentistry, and she is certified advanced brace in advanced brace system from Korea. And please pardon me if being this not my field, if I am mispronunciating or misrepresenting some of the facts, but please pardon me for that. She is a mother of a 4-year-old boy, and I really liked about her is that she puts this in her profile as her qualification or as her achievement. And we really respect you for that, Tanisha ji. And last but not the least is that she is a full-time practitioner spreading smiles for more than a decade, and that will definitely go miles. So I would definitely like to invite all of you, Dr. Krishna ji, Nirali ji, Ranjana ji, and Tanisha ji, to this conversation on women's role in COVID crisis. So before I begin the Q&A, or I invite to share all of you on your views, let me share with you that I have done a little bit of my homework and try and created questions in and around related to your profession, as we were conversing just before this call. So let me begin with Ranjana ji first, and I would like to pose a question or a point to ponder to Ranjana ji. Is that your observation? What were your observation and your viewpoint that what a woman must have learned during this COVID crisis? And when I say women, I am talking about womanhood.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the question. But before I start talking about this question, let me just greet everyone. So good morning, everyone. And a good morning, especially from a place called Rishikesh, which is a divine place. And when we say divine place, the divinity, the word relates to the women in it immediately. Like it's a kind of instant connection. So whenever it is divine, it is always a woman. So we take it that way. Now, coming back to the question, so the kind of change in the women during this COVID phase, what I realized and what I actually had experienced talking to other women was COVID taught them some very dark lessons. So I would not say it was a very beautiful lessons initially because it started as a dark lessons, but then it changed into a transition, a transformation, and it became a beautiful understanding of life, whatever expectations they have for themselves. Because see, what happens when there is a transition of a butterfly, I keep saying this often, whenever there is a transition from larva to a butterfly, it is a very painful process. That is what I felt during the COVID, the women had gone through. So they knew their roles, they were already playing those roles, but during the COVID, what happened, those roles actually amplified. And when it amplified, they realized what kind of burden they had been taking all the time without realizing. And those burdens needed to be delegated to different family members. And at the same time, they were also seeking some kind of solace and peace during that chaos, which they could not. So the basic difference, what they realized probably, what I felt was a pause from everything, detachment from proving themselves best, and also seeking something which they never thought about. So any women, like be a housewife, you might have seen that after COVID, most of the housewives had been an entrepreneur. Like because during those phase, they actually realized there was something hidden in them which they could never touch because they were contented with the minimum work, whatever they were doing. I'm talking about the housewife, but they felt that it is the life which they had actually wanted probably. But during the COVID, they might have realized that this is not the life they wanted always. There are certain things which they needed to delegate to other people, and there are certain things which they needed to go within and to understand what is their aspirations as well. So I could see many home chefs, I could see many business women developing and getting born during the COVID, and also some professionals leaving their work and seeking life purpose. So this is one thing which I could see during COVID. So the women, it impacted in different areas. Many people also realize about the relationships, the fact of the relationships, what they were actually thinking about the relationships, and what the scenario was, the real scenario was. This is what I felt. You're mute, Mr. Ankit, you're mute.
Yeah, superb. So I was very keenly, kind of listening to what you had to say, and there are a few things that I could relate to, or I could jot down. Is that number one, what you said was absolutely correct. That it was a dark lesson that leads to transition, and then it gives a new perspective towards the life. And another thing, which I would like to add to, what you shared very naturally and normally is that, you talked about the transition from an egg to a butterfly. So, and what we all must agree upon, what Ranjana ji is saying is that, कि जब भी हम लार्वा या प्यूपिया स्टेज को देखते हैं तो जनरली द स्टेज ऑफ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन आर नॉट सो ब्यूटीफुल, they are ugly, but the outcome that comes in, everybody wants to run after a butterfly. So probably COVID has impacted all women to take out that actual or a new or a beautiful butterfly out of them. So thank you so very much for sharing your views on this. Let me go to Dr. Karishma. And Dr. Saab, I just would like to ask you one very simple question. Is that, how difficult, if we consider COVID as a new baby in terms of situation, how difficult the labor pain was, and what it gave birth to?
Very nicely questioned, Ankit ji. First and foremost, I would also like to greet everyone, and a special thanks to Vyapar Jagat for giving this opportunity and being on this platform. Coming back to your question, the good part about, there were different scenarios when it came to wave 1 and the second wave. So luckily, the first wave was so good that it did not affect any pregnant women in any form. Whether it was first trimester, second trimester, or the third trimester. And even during labor, it did not have any impact as such on the labor. And luckily, even though the second wave was really bad, but there was no problem in the baby. As in, if you have COVID infection, there was no cross transfer infection to the baby. So from the placenta, the infection was not going to the baby. But yes, the second wave was very scary, even in pregnancy. And what happened is, it came so fast that before we could realize that it is affecting the pregnant lady so much, it had already spread. We had not expected that this is what it is going to happen to the pregnant ladies, because first wave was very nice. It hardly affected any of them. So yes, the second wave was quite scary in all the trimesters, whether the lady was in her second trimester, that is from 4 to 6 months of pregnancy, or 9th month, that is the third trimester. And unfortunately, we did have a lot of maternal deaths in that time. So it was quite bad.
Okay, so if we as a team look at the brighter side of it, I just would like to sum up in one sentence that just crossed my mind while Dr. Karishma was sharing as to what the pregnant women must have gone through. So I just would like to say that this was the time when the real mother and mother nature actually worked hand in hand to give birth to new life in a safer manner. Right.
Yes.
So thank you so very much for sharing us and enlightening us as to what must have gone through the then mothers in their life. Now let me go to the other doctor panelist, Dr. Tanisha in our group. And I would like to, begin with one saying in Hindi, कि कोई भी कठिन परिस्थिति लोहे के चने चबाने के बराबर होती है. So that brings us to dentistry, and I just would like to ask you as to how difficult it was, for professionals like you and women like you, कि जिनका काम ही लोगों के नजदीक जाकर के उनको ठीक करना होता है. So how difficult it was during COVID for professionals like you?
So thank you again. And once, even I would like to greet everyone here and say good morning. And it's a fabulous question. Definitely, it was very difficult. First, the SOPs were not, it was completely new. In 2020, March, April, when we talk about, there was no, there were no guidelines from the dental councils. There were no guidelines from WHO on how to go about all the procedures. And but as time passed, things became clearer. We got to know a lot of things better. And as a professional, we had to incorporate so many changes in our professional life. In our clinic, we had to incorporate in the way we practice. There were a lot of things that we had to, get installed, and it involved a lot of, expenditures. But at the same time, the other challenge was people were scared to come to the dentist because they tried delaying it. You know how the world perceives. General India awareness level is daant ek taraf, puri body ek taraf. That is how people really perceive things. But then I think with time, as awareness increased, it was easier. And secondly, at the same time, being a full-time practitioner, it becomes very difficult to manage things at home. And like you mentioned, I always talk about my kid because I'm a very proud mother. And it was the time of pandemic and online schooling. So Mrs. Nirali would agree how difficult it was, even for working mothers, because we had to sit through the entire session. Because my child was just 3 and he could not manage anything on the laptop. So that being on a personal front, personal professional challenges were there. But I think as women, we are very used to getting, to accommodate to changes, whether it's getting married, settling in a completely new place. I think we have that innate potential to just adjust anywhere. And that is what got me through, and I think got most of the people through. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much. And if I have to sum up what you have just said, what I learned from you right now, and I would like to tweak it a little bit with your permission. And the sentence comes out is that, daat or COVID ek taraf, or baki ki body or dunya ek taraf. That was the scenario which was there, very rightly and very joyfully in a humorous manner, but the fact of life which has been shared by Dr. Tanisha. And with that, let me go to an avid educationalist, Nirali ji. And Nirali ji, I just would like to ask you, कि आपके हिसाब से एक लेडी ने, एक विमेन ने इस कोविड सिचुएशन के दरमियान क्या कुछ सीखा होगा और क्या कुछ सिखाया होगा लोगों को? What's your opinion on that?
Having your beautiful doctors and all with us, so a very happy morning to everybody. And I guess you have put the right on dot question for all of us. I guess this is a very common thing which is there. So I would say not only as a woman, as a mother, or as an educationist, this was the time, like there was a lot of realization that yes, this is not the time to gather everything that is surrounding us, but it is the time to understand that what we have, how we are able to utilize our resources. As well as an educator, it was very important that it's not the time to give everything to the child that is in the books. It was the time to just help them survive this period with being mentally strong, and at that same time being a support to the family, because we all are aware that during that time the females were the most affected one, because no support staff at home, all the house help, everything had to literally disappear. It was like just gone out of with the wind all of a sudden. And the entire family, and as Ms. Tanisha said that yes, the children at home and studying online. So as females, their role had changed a lot. There was a, I would not only say role reversal, but in fact there was a multitasking role that came into picture. So if I would talk of one of an educator who is a teacher, for example, so she had to handle the children on screen to whom she was so used to handling and giving that warmth. At that same time, she had the people at home whom she could give her warmth, and they really needed it. So all the females were so much put up into small pieces into various roles. And I would really say hats off not only to the female, but yes, all the family members who had supported all the females at that time, and that we all could get through these things well. But the best thing that we have learned is this is the time where we need to understand what is necessary, even as educators, that it's not necessary to give all the world's Wikipedia knowledge to the children, but go on the basics, what is necessary for them for the next transition, maybe the next academic year transition, or maybe the changing world. and at that same time being a great support system mentally to the families maybe on the other side of the screen, and to the families with whom they are staying. So for a female, I think the role was very important and a huge learning ground for all of us. That yes, it is not just survival of the fittest, but it is survival of the one who could adjust. And very well said by Dr. Tanisha that yes, and we all have adjusted. It's not just females, I would say all males also, because there have been a lot of role reversals everywhere, and hand in hand it has gone. So in maybe in some places it may not have happened as expected, but in most of the places, in most of the households, it has happened because there was no other way out. So I would say very proudly that I have a 19-year-old son, and he had just finished his 12th. That time he was just 18, but he had never felt bad about helping at home and doing all the household chores with me, because we were all working, of course, online, but still it was all working time. So this has brought, I think, even the families quite together. Good bonding has happened, and probably the kind of time we spent with our family, kids, and other members would not have been possible. At that same time, the working professionals also missed out that the kind of work pressure, home pressure they had to go through. So a lot of mental trauma also has been there. So I would say that as educators, we also had to take care that that kind of mental trauma the children does not go through. So we had to be very relaxed with the kind of education we give them, the way we take their sessions, the timings, everything had to be taken care of, so that everybody feels at comfort level, and mothers do not feel that stress that I have to be with my child all the time online, because they had a lot of other chores to do. So I think this was the time when a lot of transitions have happened in our way of thinking, way of strategizing our jobs, our home, and the kind of multitasking everybody has been doing. It's not just mothers, not females, all males, everybody. So I would say everybody has been on a very good role, and good transitions have happened in the family.
Okay, superb, superb. So once again, as a moderator, if I just have to sum up, what she told about is that there were a lot of role reversals, and मैं ये कहूँगा कि most of the couples जो एक दूसरे को better half बोलते हैं, वो उनका better side of the better half देख पाए होंगे इन समय के अंदर. So इसी से जुड़ा हुआ अगला प्रश्न है, and I would like to keep mum for some time, and I would like to take this as a round robin. So हम लोग करिश्मा जी से शुरू करेंगे. क्वेश्चन एक ही है, and I would invite all of you to share your views on that. Is that जिस तरीके के समय से हम गुजरे हैं, we were compelled to stay at home, we were compelled to spend time together, we were compelled to live in a certain manner, we were compelled to utilize the minimum or whatever available resources were there. So इन सारी चीजों में से आप चारों लोग भी गुजरे होंगे, I am absolutely sure. So my question to you is that, do you think that the image and impression of yours as well as your family members in your mind, has it impacted and has it changed? If yes, share us some funny or some very close to the heart instance that must have happened in last 2 years, one by one. We begin with Dr. Karishma. यहाँ हमको सिर्फ हमारे family members की और खुद की बात करनी है. Over to you.
Yeah. तो पहले तो मैं बताऊंगी कि जब फर्स्ट वेव था तो हम सब ही बहुत डर गए थे. तो पहले 15 दिन, मेरे हस्बैंड भी डॉक्टर है एंड ही इज मोर बिजियर देन मी, बिकॉज हमारा 8 साल का बेटा है, तो उसको ध्यान रखने के लिए आई हैव मेड माई प्रैक्टिस लिटिल लेस. तो उस टाइम पे रोल रिवर्सल ऐसा था कि पहले कुछ दिन तो मैंने भी बंद रखा, पर फिर आई रियलाइज कि सारे हॉस्पिटल्स बंद है और वो बेचारी 9 महीने वाली जो 8 और 9 मंथ्स वाली जो पेशेंट्स थी, वो इतनी टेंशन में थी कि हम कहाँ जाएंगे, कोई हमें लेने को रेडी नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है. तो फिर थोड़ा घर पे झिझक हुआ कि नहीं तुम कैसे जाओगी, फिर इधर आओगी, हमको इन्फेक्शन होगा. मैंने बोला देखो हमने ये प्रोफेशन लिया है कोई कारण से, सो आई आई एम गोइंग टू गो, आई विल टेक ऑल द प्रिकॉशंस। सो उस टाइम पे मैं 24 घंटा हॉस्पिटल में थी और मेरे हस्बैंड घर पे पीछे से सब मैनेज कर रहे थे। तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा था कि नाउ ही विल रियलाइज कि व्हाट प्रॉब्लम्स आई वाज फेसिंग व्हेन ही वाज एट वर्क, एंड देन पीछे से कैसे सब चीजें लाइन अप होती है। तो दैट वाज समथिंग व्हिच I really liked in the first wave.
Yeah, so Dr. Karishma, before I move to Ranjana ji, I also would like to know that, hypothetically, if this question I would have asked to your husband, what he would have said about
You would not have agreed to this.
All right, okay. So there's also learning in it. And with that, let me go to Ranjana ji. Yeah, Ranjana ji, over to you.
मेरे इस कोविड ड्यूरेशन में मेरे हस्बैंड के लिए जो मेरी राय पहले थी वही बाद में भी रही, तो मेरे यहाँ पे बहुत बड़ा इम्पैक्ट नहीं हुआ। रीजन ये था कि ही इज एन ऑटोमोबाइल इंडस्ट्री पर्सन, so the factory was on, he had to go to the office anyways, and the way he is a part of my family में जो भी responsibilities है जैसे वो है पहले से, वो वैसे उस ड्यूरेशन पे भी थे। लाइक हमारे यहाँ ऐसा कोई डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं है कि दिस इज माय वर्क और हिज वर्क, वी ऑल डू टुगेदर। अगर कोई जरूरत पड़ती है एक दूसरे के ऊपर आती है अगर काम। लेकिन हाँ, मेरे लाइफ में बस इतना चेंज आ गया था, माय सन वाज हैविंग हिज 12th बोर्ड एग्जाम, and also that same year he had 3 competitive exams, as you know IIT के होते हैं, तो उसके ऊपर प्रेशर था। I couldn't ask him to be a part of those household chores, मैं उनको बोल नहीं सकती थी, और हस्बैंड का ऑफिस ऑन था and he had to go, so मेरे घर में किसी के लिए भी किसी का राय नहीं बदला मुझे लगता है। only thing was I had taken up much responsibility, क्योंकि मुझे वही एक अकेली बंदी दिख रही थी जो वर्क फ्रॉम होम भी कर रही है, एड्रेस भी कर रही है लोगों को उसी ड्यूरेशन पे, एंड दैट इन द सेम टाइम मुझे घर भी संभालना था। देयर वाज नो कुक, देयर वाज नो मेड, एवरीबॉडी नोज दैट, बट दैट वाज आई वाज ओनली फॉर द फर्स्ट ईयर। सेकंड ईयर से तो एवरीथिंग वाज मैनेजेबल, उतना नहीं था। तो आई एम लाइक अ सेफ प्लेस, मुझे कोई चेंज नहीं करना पड़ा अपना इमेज या उनका इमेज या किसी का भी इमेज।
Superb. So, yahan, I just would like to draw every viewer's or every listener's attention to one very critical thing that she just said it so normally and naturally कि मेरे लाइफ में तो कोई बदलाव नहीं आया, मेरे दिमाग में किसी का इंप्रेशन नहीं बदला। बट अगर आपने रंजना जी को ध्यान से सुना होगा तो आपको पता चला होगा कि उनके खुद की लाइफ में उन्होंने she brought in a sea change, you know. So I just would like to salute not only to Ranjana ji but all the women who are there who have undoubtedly keeping that mum, observing silence, not changing a simple wrinkle on their face and change the entire way how they lived in these times, you know. So ये एक चीज है जो सुनने में बहुत ही funny या lighter question है, but it actually dwells so deep into the womanhood. And this gives us another reason to respect each and every woman on this coming Women Day and for rest of our life also. So चलिए निराली जी के पास चलते हैं और उनसे पूछते हैं कि आपके हिसाब से आपका इंप्रेशन कैसे चेंज हुआ, अगर हुआ है तो, या आपकी नजरों में आपके फैमिली मेंबर्स का इंप्रेशन कैसे चेंज हुआ?
Just similar to what Ranjana ji said, in our house also, हमारे यहाँ ऐसा कोई specific नहीं है कि ये काम इसका है because we have been working from the beginning. And but yes, I was very happy to see the change in my son, because earlier मैंने उसको हमेशा पढ़ाई करते करते देखा है उसको. He is a very introvert person, but the way he came forward to help, because पूरा दिन my husband is with media, so he had his office all the time. We never had a kind of lockdown type of thing कि घर पे सब है. And we always, I was at home, but of course working from 9 to 9 almost online all the time, because everybody thought that we are not going to school, so there is not enough work with us, so there were too much of work put up with us. And एक और चीज जैसे इन्होंने बोला कि बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट ये हो गया, विदाउट एनी सपोर्ट एट होम, बिकॉज हमें तो आदत थी कि घर पे हाउस हेल्प सपोर्ट सिस्टम पूरा एक अच्छा सा सेटअप होता है. All of a sudden when it stopped, but there was no option, so we had to change. I had to change a lot, बिकॉज जो मैंने शायद लास्ट 17 ईयर्स में नहीं किया, वो ऑल ऑफ ए सडन में करना शुरू किया. एंड और एक काम कि मेरा काम बिल्कुल अटका नहीं है एक दिन के लिए भी. वी हैव बीन इनटू सच प्रोफेशन कि हमारा काम एक दिन भी नहीं अटका. इनफैक्ट संडेज को भी हम उस टाइम पे काम करते थे. सो जो 17 ईयर्स में नहीं किया था शायद, और बहुत ही एक स्मूथ वर्किंग था फैमिली में, वो एक चेंज आ गया ऑल ऑफ ए सडन. So our life changed in a lot at that time, but we knew that we had quickly put into that mold within 24 hours with extra help from each other. So we had always been like, it has been a family custom for us कि अगर छुट्टी है Sundays, we all do the work together, we clean the house together, because we wanted to do that so that we teach our son that this is the kind of work of everybody does. And that came, I think, to our help at that time. So I would say that this time has taught my son also that how a family runs with each other's support. It was a very good practical example for him, and he was one of the main pillar for us, because the way we both were working day and night during the lockdown also, he was the biggest pillar for all of us. A huge change in my lifestyle, I would say, because I had done things जो मैंने शायद 17 years में नहीं की थी पिछले. बहुत स्मूथली सब मैनेज था. तो वो सारी चीजें हमने, एंड बट वी नेवर हैड लाइक इश्यू के अरे आज इतना कर लिया. वी वर एंजॉयिंग दैट फेज. So and maybe post that I have made that change probably in our family कि अगर support staff नहीं है, house help नहीं है, it's okay not to feel stressed about it, and we all can manage it. So that's the big change we have seen, and I think we felt it funny actually in the beginning. अरे हमने ये कर लिया, हम कर सकते, तो इतने सालों से कभी नहीं किया. So this is the thing we are observing right now also. We have become less dependent on the support staff now.
Okay, superb. So if I just kind of amalgamate the opinions of Dr. Karishma or Ranjana ji or Nirali ji, then what I learned, one thing is that every one of you had to knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or subconsciously, had to communicate कि भाई आदत नहीं थी पर आदत पड़ जाती. So for every woman, I would like to say that one point where I respect all of you is your adaptability. Every woman is so adaptable. आदत तो आपको अपने घर में रहने की ही होती है, पर आप आदत डाल लेते हो दूसरों के घर में जाने की. आपको आदत होती है अपनी ही नाम और सरनेम से पुकारे जाने की, पर आप उसे भी चेंज करके आदत डाल लेते हो. आदत तो आपको होती है अपना फिजिक्स संभालने की, पर आप अपने बच्चों के लिए यू डोंट लुक एट योरसेल्फ एंड यू जस्ट गिव अ बर्थ टू अ न्यू लाइफ. आप कई सारी ऐसी आदतें हैं. ये घर का काम करना तो कोई बड़ी बात नहीं है, उतनी सारी आदतें आप लोग डाल करके यू आर मेकिंग अ बिग डिफरेंस to every human race, every individuals, and with that thought, let us ask our last panelist, Dr. Tanisha, कि आपको क्या लगता है कि इस दौरान आपके फैमिली में एक दूसरे के इंप्रेशन में क्या इम्पैक्ट आया. और इसके बाद we'll go on the last question because we are running towards the final part of the session. So over to you, Tanisha ji.
So on a lighter note, my family got to know that I can cook, which was something that I have hardly done in this time. But no, I think it got us very close as a family. We started understanding each other's responsibilities, and it's not about dividing the work or delegating the work. It's all about how you can complement each other in everything. So if I am doing something, someone else will do, whether it's my husband, whether it's my mother-in-law, father-in-law, even my son. So all five of us, we got so closely knit. And I think the initial phase of a lockdown was a wonderful time. When the lockdown opened up, even then when we were working, we realized how we are each other's strengths and pillars. Eventually what it comes down to, when you do not meet anyone else, it is your support system is only your family and nothing else. So that is something that I feel that was taken for granted earlier and been like a set given ki haan theek hai to kya hai. But now it makes you feel that you survived through things just because you were together, and maybe it would have been very different if you were not together. So That's my
Absolutely. So I believe, what very nicely depicted by Dr. Tanisha is that she wants to communicate one thing, that be it men or women, we all must remember that none of us is as strong as all of us.
true.
So that's what she said, that as long as you are together, you can always, conquer the world or overcome any situation with smiling face and flying colors. With this, we move on to the last question, and this would be an individual questions to each one of you. Obviously, the purpose of the question is same, but I would like to pose this as I have committed. It will be according to your profession. So let me begin with Dr. Karishma again, and a mother. What I have understood is a feeder. A mother is a feeder. She is a nutritionist. वो पोषण देती है. पोषण कहाँ देती है? तो she gives you physically, she gives you food when you are young. वो संस्कारों का सिंचन करती हैं. वो शारीरिक और मानसिक रूप से इंसानों को घड़ती हैं. और last but not the least, she is a one person who can build cultures, who feeds the culture. So after this COVID situation, after having experienced the crisis, what are 2 to 3 points that you would like to share with all the womenhood to keep in mind moving forward as a person who is responsible to feed the society and nurture the society?
Wow, very nice question. और काफी सोचने वाली बात है. बट हाँ, कोविड क्राइसिस में ये जरूर हम सबको सिखाया है कि हेल्दी रहना कितना जरूरी है. अगर आप हेल्दी हो तो काफी सारी आपकी प्रॉब्लम्स वहीं पे मिट जाती है. सो स्टेइंग हेल्दी इज द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग. दूसरी मैं ये बताऊंगी कि आपको एक्सरसाइज करना जरूरी है, क्योंकि एक्सरसाइज से आपके बॉडी में पॉजिटिव हार्मोन्स रिलीज होते हैं. वो पॉजिटिव हार्मोन्स यूनिवर्स में जाते हैं और सब जगह पॉजिटिविटी फैलाता है. सो दैट इज अ सेकंड थिंग दैट आई वुड लाइक टू टेल एवरीवन, दैट कीप एक्सरसाइजिंग, और वॉट एवर फॉर्म, जो भी आपको पसंद है, योगा है, डांस है, एरोबिक्स है, जो भी है, वो करना. आधा घंटा, उतना टाइम तो हर कोई अपने लिए 24 घंटे में से निकाल सकता है. एंड मेंटल हेल्थ मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट.
Obviously.
So who would be better to tell about mental health than Ranjana ji?
Absolutely. And while you were just sharing कि positive hormone release होते हैं, वो atmosphere में जाते हैं, I was kind of confused कि ये रंजना जी बोल रहे हैं कि करिश्मा जी बोल रहे हैं, because the thing that you were communicating were more like a coach, and you are one. All of us in our minds, in our brains, are coach to the human life, right? So let me quickly go to Ranjana ji herself only, and let me ask her a very simple question, that in times like this, after this kind of experience, what according to you a woman not only should learn but exhibit in times to come? क्योंकि पिछले 2-3 सालों में जो दुनिया है वो इसके पहले के 10 साल से भी ज्यादा क्विकली चेंज हुई है. जो बदलाव हम 10 साल में देख सकते थे या देखने वाले थे, वो बदलाव खास करके हमारी जिंदगी में, रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में इन 2.5 या 3 सालों में आया है. तो व्हाट आर द 2-3 थिंग्स दैट एज अ की रोल प्लेयर women should exhibit? Over to you, Ranjana ji.
This is really a nice question. इसको मैं एक चीज बोलूंगी कि हेल्थ, फिजिकल हेल्थ जो पहले ऑलरेडी कवर कर लिया गया है, वो तो प्रायोरिटी में होना ही चाहिए. Along with that, what I feel, it's very important that women should pursue their dream in the sense that उनके जो dreams and desires है, वो उनके कहीं छुपे रहते हैं, जो मैंने रियलाइज किया है. और जब ये इस बार कोविड के ड्यूरेशन में जब ये बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट जैसी सिचुएशन हुई ना घर में बहुत लोगों के, बट बॉम्ब ब्लास्ट इन द सेंस ऑफ इमोशनल जो सारी सिचुएशंस आई थी, उसमें कई लोगों ने ये रियलाइज किया कि उनके काम को बहुत टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड लिया गया है. तो जब सबके ऊपर पड़ने लगा तो देन दे फेल्ट कि हाँ ये काम बहुत बोरिंग, टीडियस, विदाउट एनी एक्नॉलेजमेंट, और जिस काम को उन्होंने अपनी जिंदगी बना रखी थी वो एक्चुअली में किस तरह से परसीव किया जा रहा है बाहर। तो व्हाई नॉट, यू आर बोर्न एज एन इंडिपेंडेंट पर्सन, आप क्यों नहीं अपने बारे में सोच सकते हो, क्यों नहीं वो चीजें कर सकते हो जिसका कोई प्रोक्रेस्टिनेशन का एक्सक्यूज ना हो। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, मेरे बेटे बड़े हो जाएंगे, मेरे बच्चों की शादी हो जाएगी, या मेरे घर में ये ठीक रहेगा, या मेरे इन-लॉज जब सब सही रहेंगे, मेरे मम्मी पापा का ही होगा। सब कुछ इतना ज्यादा समेट लेती है ना विमेन, कि वो अपने बारे में खुद को भूल जाती हैं कि वो क्या है। जो लोग इसका एक दो स्टेप आगे ले चुके हैं, जिनका अपना प्रोफेशन है, बिजनेस है, ऑब्वियसली उन्होंने कुछ एक दो स्टेप ऐसे लिए हैं जिसको उनको सैक्रिफाइस कुछ करना पड़ा तो कुछ उनको मिला। बट मैं ये जो मैसेज है ये मैं स्पेशली हाउसवाइफ्स के लिए बोलूंगी, जिनको शायद ये भी नहीं अभी कई बार रियलाइज होता है कि उनकी खुशियां कहाँ पे है। सो इट इज वेरी, इट्स हाई टाइम। कोविड ने अनटाइमली डेथ दिखाया है। कोविड ने आपके सामने से ऐसे ऐसे लोगों को ले गए जिनके बारे में आपने कभी सोचा भी नहीं होगा। ठीक है, तो जब आपको पता है कि लाइफ का इतना अनप्रेडिक्टेबल सिचुएशन है, तो आप वो सारी चीजें क्यों नहीं कर लेते? व्हाई डोंट यू ट्राई ऑल दोस थिंग्स? मे बी किसी को बंगी जंपिंग करना हो, किसी को राफ्टिंग करना हो, किसी को कुछ कैफे खोलना हो, किसी को फोटोग्राफी करनी हो। आई थिंक कुछ दब जाता है इनके अंदर, और यही एक लाइफ है वो जो घिसे पिटे सिस्टम के हिसाब से इनकी चलती रहती है, और उसका एक्सक्यूज जो होता है वो प्रोक्रेस्टिनेशन। सो प्लीज ये प्रोक्रेस्टिनेशन हटाइए, टाइमलाइन हटाइए कि ये हो जाए तो मैं करूंगी, वो हो जाएगा तो मैं करूंगी। और जो चीजें एक्चुअली में आपको पसंद है, और वो आप तभी कर पाएंगे जब आप फिजिकली फिट होंगी, मेंटली फिट होंगी, और आप अपने से कनेक्ट। अपने से कनेक्टेड का मतलब है जब आप अकेले बैठे तो अकेले बैठ पाए आप, आपको हर वक्त किसी की जरूरत ना हो। और जब आप अकेले बैठे तो आप इन्फ्लुएंस बिना हुए अपने बारे में कुछ सोच सके। क्योंकि आप कुछ एक पॉइंट निकालते हैं अपने बारे में तो आप वैलिडेशन मांगते हैं तीन चार लोगों से, क्या मैं सही सोच रही हूँ, शुड आई डू दिस, शुड आई डू दैट। एंड ये चीज पूरा इरेडिकेट करके आप अकेले बैठ के कॉन्टेम्पलेट करके अपने बारे में अगर अच्छे से आप जान लेते हैं तो आप वो स्टेप्स ले पाएंगे, नहीं तो आप वो स्टेप कभी नहीं ले पाएंगे। और आप बिलीव कीजिए मुझसे अंकित, आप किसी भी लेडी से बात करेंगे ना, चाहे वो टिपिकल हाउसवाइफ भी होंगी ना, आप देखना उनके अंदर कुछ तो सपना होगा। और आप पूछ के देख लीजिए, जैसे सिंपल से लगे आपको, आप पूछिएगा वो बोलेंगे हाँ मेरे शायद डांस करने का मुझे शौक है, या मुझे वीडियोस बनाने के शौक है। तो आप किसका वेट कर रहे हो, किस चीज का वेट कर रहे हो? तो ये मेरा जरूर होगा कि प्लीज अब हाई टाइम है। आप कोई सेल्फिश नहीं हो अगर आप कुछ चीज अपने लिए कर लोगे, लेकिन हाँ क्या करना है इसके लिए बिना इन्फ्लुएंस हुए आप। सो गो फॉर द लाइफ दैट यू ऑलवेज वांटेड टू गो फॉर इट। जो चीज आपके एस्पिरेशन से उसको क्रेडेंशियल दीजिए, उससे भागिए मत, और अपने को सेल्फिश मत समझिए। ये तीन चार पॉइंट्स में जरूर बोलना चाहूँ।
Super, super. Very nicely said and very nicely put. Now, let me go to Dr. Tarisha and ask her that, as long as my memory or my knowledge serves me right, generally we go for the braces to align the entire denture, right? And when we align that in a proper manner with the braces, what happens is that it gives you an absolutely new and a stunning look, right? इसी तरीके से कोविड के दौरान हमारी पूरी जो बत्ती सी है, हमारा जो सिस्टम है वो पूरा हिल गया है। सब कुछ इधर उधर हो गया है, हमारा फेस बिगड़ गया है। तो बीइंग एन एक्सपर्ट, बीइंग अ विमेन, आप क्या कहना चाहते हो कि उनको किस तरीके के ब्रेसेस बनना चाहिए जिसकी वजह से ये अलाइनमेंट वापस आ सके? 2 to 3 पॉइंट फ्रॉम योर मैडम।
So I would like to differ a little. हमारा सिस्टम हिला नहीं है. I think it has got restructured. So that is something that I feel that things will keep changing. Change is the only constant in life, and that is going to keep happening. So that is something that we have to learn to live with. And ये जो चीज है about when you stay together, when you are working, when you are doing a work-life balance, everything matters. And that is what we've learned through COVID, and it should matter for the next till as long as you live. Maintaining that balance, I think that is the most important thing in life. You maintain that balance and everything else comes secondary, whether it's success, whether it's money, whether it's your happiness is the first thing, whether it is mental or physical happiness, whatever. That is the first thing that you have to look at, happiness. Second thing is health is wealth. That has been highlighted by everyone. Chahe you might be the richest person, but if you do not have that kind of health to support you, nothing is going to, it's not going to work. So these are the two things. And alignment की बात करें तो smiles, keep smiling. I think it is the best. It's the best therapy in life. It just reduces all the stress, and it gives you a happiness that you cannot think of. Like, it gives you the best confidence. That's my take.
सुपर सुपर. सो वैसे तो आज हमने बहुत कुछ चीजें सीखी हैं, पर जिनका काम ही है लोगों को सिखाना, उनसे पूछते हैं कि निराली जी, आप बताइए कि आने वाले समय में जो हमारा पिछला एक्सपीरियंस रहा है, उसको लेकर के कल्चर बिल्डिंग में विमेन को क्या भूमिका निभानी चाहिए. ओवर टू यू.
I think culture building is going to be the most important thing now, because with the kind of drastic changes that have come up. So we as women will have to teach that resilience to the children, that come what may, changes are there, accept it and move forward. And your smile cannot stop if you are accepting the change. So I very well connect with Dr. Tanisha that yes, everybody has to learn what is work-life balance, and with that, if we teach, put it into culture, into the regular culture of our children, our family, and everybody, it won't be a big problem for them to accept the change, because the way we are seeing the change in the world now, it's very drastic changes, overnight changes that are coming. The only thing that is going to help us survive and move forward is the culture of change. So accept it. Yes, it's fine. We can do this, and it's fine to not have this. It's fine not to have this, something new, and let's walk on that path. Second culture is helping each other and understanding each other, because there has been a lot of instances during this last 2 years that there have been that people's expectations have not been met by other people. For example, if I say that in education, maybe some parents must have not been very happy with what has happened on the other side of the screen, but we don't know that what is happening on the other side of the screen, because what we see is a very small screen, but there is a life behind that screen, and what they are going through we don't know. So let us try to walk into other shoes, try to understand other people's stories, not work on assumptions, and build a culture of good understanding. And I'm sure this every woman will agree that yes, work life balance culture is going to help us build this culture better, and accept as people as they are, and accept the situations as they are, and walk ahead. This culture, if we are able to develop in our children, a lot of issues will be solved, because tolerance will be developed in children, in elders, everybody, which we have seen in last 2 years in a lot of families, that there was a big issue of intolerance, and which created a lot of issues in the families, because they had never spent so much time together earlier. They used to see each other only during a dinner time or during breakfast time, and then have nice TV time and go to sleep. But this is now a new culture has come up in the family system also. Spending the entire day and night together, knowing each other better, understanding what each other is going through, needs. So that change in the huge change in culture has to come now, whether it is in profession, in a domestic life, in your circles, everywhere. And yes, because women being the pillars of the family, who put this as forward, maybe to the children, to the husband, to the family, it's a big role. But because first the women has to understand that I need to change the culture, I need to be a part of this change culture, and everything will fall in place. But only thing is change, accept change, and that is the biggest thing needed.
Super. So if I have to amalgamate everything, and I just would like to say, I would like to pick up on a sentence which has been used by Nirali ji very recently. I don't know whether many of us have paid attention to it or not, but it hit me to the heart, is that one must remember there is always a life behind. I would not say behind the screen, but behind an individual, within an individual, and behind the face and situation as well. So that's a great learning that we had. And in the end, I just would like to say one thing, that just like everybody who is watching or who is gonna watch this particular conversation, just like them, I also have learned too many things from all these avid personalities. And I'm thankful and grateful to God to make me a common thread to incorporate all these jewels and gems in today's session in fempreneur, right, under the subject of women's role in COVID crisis. Thank you so very much. And, I personally would like to appreciate each of our panelists for sharing their heart out, considering all of us, as a person who are there ready to contribute and change the society. Thank you so very much. Over to Rajshri, please.
Wow, what a wonderful session. So those who are watching us live, what are you waiting for? Go subscribe to vyaparjagat.com, Vyapar Jagat TV, and watch us live again. If you have really missed this session, that's not it, right? Hashtag Mera Vyapar Meri Pehchan. And I am out of words because Ankit ji has moderated it so well. All questions were actually according to the panelists that were present here. And a question related to education to Nirali ji, a question related to dentistry to Dr. Tanisha, a question related to somewhere touching the gynecology topic to Dr. Karishma, and my dear healer friend. All questions are welcome for you because you ultimately heal everyone. So thank you very much, my dear esteemed panelists, and Ankit ji for moderating it so well. So here is we take a break from this session and we will head over to the next session in a while. Till then, enjoy this YouTube live of vyaparjagat.com. Over to you,